You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
That's right, guys. We're here with another week on the Red Moon Podcast, but we're missing somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Did it get him?
The COVID.
Did the COVID get him? I don't know if it did or not. I mean, he's here in spirit, we hope. I don't know if it was the Indians or the COVID.
We haven't talked about the Indians in a long time.
Maybe the Indians brought the COVID with them. But is that racist? I think that may be racist.
Yeah, because we would have given them the COVID.
Oh, that's true.
Right.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
That's the cultural appropriation, right?
I think it's cultural genocide.
Genocide. Actually, no. Keith does join us this week. He joins us by phone, because he's doing the responsible thing as a citizen, and he is coming to us. You there, right, Keith? Please tell us you're there.
I am here.
You
He is
are
here.
here. We've got a
I'm
quite
here.
gloomy doom look right now at the Red
Who
Moon
has a-
Podcast. It's very
Who has
red.
a gloomy doom look.
It's okay. We're gonna brighten it up though. Okay.
I've seen the red. I'm watching.
You are
I am
watching?
watching.
So you saw our studio shot.
Yes. Well, I was aware we were going to have it, but it's nice
I
to
know.
see it.
Well, we're
is.
gonna brighten things up too a little bit. We're
Well,
just.
I don't know. I mean,
we were kind of.
you brighten it up. I could see your faces fully, and then that.
Oh, you
might
didn't
be
want
Yeah,
us to
there
do
it
that?
goes. It just went.
Well,
Just got brighter. There's a delay though.
There is. Well, a little bit. But we wanted to welcome Keith because he is doing the responsible thing. He's actually homesick. He's come down with the diarrhea.
Yeah, I got the poos.
He got the poos.
No COVID. At least I don't believe so. But I got the poos.
No, we thank you for staying home. We think it's just a common cold, right? Just a
Well, I mean, it started
you
with
get a common
like
cold in your
congestion and
butt?
head allergies. Like my sinuses were stopped up, and then it moved to my chest, and I was coughing up phlegm. So I don't
Yeah.
really exhibit signs of anything more serious, and I'm over most of it already. So I mean, you
Well,
don't really recover
and I was
corona
gonna say
that
that
fast.
it does
God.
sound terrible.
Yeah, it does.
But it's like at least we're here with you, and you're here with us.
Mhm.
We're glad to have you this week, even if it's by phone. And also, the
You're
thing
my
is
phone.
you haven't had a fever, so we're
No
even more
fevers.
convinced that this is not the COVID. You don't
No.
have the COVID.
I
No
got the
shortness of
poos.
breath,
No,
other
yeah.
than when you're smelling your own.
See, that's what I was thinking. See where I was thinking. Well, if you do have to go to the bathroom here in the middle of this show, Keith,
No.
one question on my mind.
Take us with you.
No.
You have to take us with you,
Yes.
please.
Well, I can take you with me, but I'm not sniffing my own taint.
Oh God.
We've been
No, we're talking about your poo. There's no escaping that.
we've been keeping this conversation up for far too long.
Yeah.
I mean,
About-
this has been a running gag for about 3 weeks now. So you know.
It has. Well, but we thank you.
It's
for-
gonna be a running gag.
It's gonna
when you start
constantly-
pooping.
we
We're
get
all
to
gonna
enjoy
run and
all
gag.
your oh gosh we get to enjoy your lovely voice and of course your lovely review that you wrote us.
I did write a review.
We're gonna get right to that here in just a sec, but we obviously we're all still under quarantine, so even though we're bringing you the show, obviously you can see Sean and I are practicing social distancing.
Yeah.
We're
We're only 4 feet apart though.
oh, so I need to like stretch the mic a little bit further. I need to go back some. Is that what it is?
Maybe.
But no, we're we're also just taking precaution. That's why Keith is out, and plus he just wasn't feeling good. He was just like, I don't want to come there and have to run out in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
So now he can just mute us and run out.
The last time
And
you were sick, you were in the other room on the couch.
That's true. You all could come in there and see me. You all held the show
I-
your own though.
You threw up on camera.
Yeah, I'm not in there
did.
on the couch.
I threw up Gatorade.
Gatorade.
garbage day.
I remember our good friend Megan in Boston thought that we really filmed you throwing up.
Yeah,
Like,
she was
thought
like,
that was
poor
for real.
Brandon. I was like, thanks, Megan. She was
It's theatrics.
she was with me, but it was all fake.
Yeah.
Just like everything we do on the show. All right, Keith, I'm going to have to put you on mute again. I'm sorry. Because I'm going to have to obviously unplug you just so that we can have our movie review here. We've got one that, I mean, there's not much out, though, this week.
Nothing.
That's part of the problem is there's really nothing that is that can be seen in the theaters because they're closed.
Yeah.
No movies are releasing. So we're really kind of screwed. I mean, we're trying to figure out what are we going to review each week.
Yeah.
And
at least we're not, getting charged our subscription fee. I thought that was pretty cool.
AMC sent us an email and they said, hey, we're putting all that on hold for right now, which is nice. But as far as, when the theater is going to open up, nobody knows. Everybody's just suspecting. I mean, Apple stores, I've heard, are rumored to open up back again at the beginning of, when is it? I think they said middle of April.
Oh, really?
As when they're planning on opening the Apple stores back up, but I'm not. I mean, they're only the biggest company in the world, so maybe everybody else will follow suit. But again, we all want to take our time. We all want to make sure everybody's healthy, right? Yeah. And Sean's sitting here. I mean, heck, he's being a trooper. You got some back problems.
Yeah, I got some back problems.
So we're all just roughing it during freaking quarantine. It's tough. So I guess being that said, we should go ahead and get into our review. One of the only movies to release this past week, not theatrically, but on a streaming service. We pushed a lot for them in the beginning, not been giving them a lot of love because really they haven't been given any love to us as viewers and given us something worth reviewing. That may change now with what we're about to review. So Sean, did you view this film, right?
I have not.
You have not viewed it.
Have you?
Ooh, I have.
Oh, okay.
But this is good.
Yeah.
You're in for a treat.
Okay.
Let's see if you like it. Let's get to our review of Apple TV Plus's The Banker. The following is a review by Keith Cheatham. Stuck at home with that March sadness? Feeling the creeping onset of cabin fever as you're cooped up in quarantine? As we face the crisis that is COVID-19, it's hard not to worry about what the future holds. One of the most prominent ways we use to entertain ourselves and get away from the adversities that hit us in life is through film. With cinemas closed and quarantines in effect, finding solid movies to watch at home is more important now than it's ever been. And while multiple production companies and streaming services are stepping up to offer a plethora of options, some options are better than others. Over the weekend, Apple has released what was intended to be their first exclusive film to their streaming service Apple TV+, The Banker. While the film was postponed from its original release date due to sexual assault allegations surrounding Bernard Garrett Jr., son of the man whom the film is based on, the movie is now available for streaming through Apple TV+. The Banker tells the story of Bernard Garrett Sr., portrayed by Anthony Mackie, who alongside business partner Joe Morris, played by Samuel L. Jackson, became the first African-American bankers, and more impressively, they did so during the late 50s and early 60s, when Jim Crow laws were deeply in place and the civil rights movement was in its infancy. The Banker is a drama based on true events of a black man who wanted to be just as successful, if not more so, than the white businessmen in his community responsible for ensuffering African Americans who could never be so successful. More importantly, it is an inspirational story of a man who faced adversity and through perseverance and determination carved out a better life for himself and his family, and helped his community to do the same. As displayed on film, Garrett and Morris, with help of friend and associate Matt Steiner, played by Nicholas Hoult, were able to purchase land in banks with Steiner, a white man, as the face of their partnership. While many praise Morris and Garrett for being able to con their way into owning banks and neither broke any laws, and their only sin was that of being black. Mackie, as the straight-laced and determined Bernard Garrett, gives a solid performance, showing he can hold his own as a leading man. Jackson, as Joe Morris, is exuberant and louder than life, infusing what humor there is into the movie. As a drama based on true events, the film has little fault in its message or historical accuracy. Where it does falter, however, is its fairly bare-bones depiction. The most entertaining moments come when you see Garrett and Morris conspire alongside Steiner to pull off the numerous purchases in the film.
Seeing the brilliance and audacity of Garrett and Morris and how they played out each move showcases just how intelligent the men were and just how biased laws at the time were, with scenes playing out almost like a heist setup scene would in heist films. The difference being these men had to pull off cons just to accomplish things that were completely legal. When it comes to the actual lives and emotional weight of these men, however, the film is rather dry. There are humorous moments sprinkled throughout, and we do get some glimpses into Garrett's childhood and life relationships, but there's not a lot going for the film in this regard. What we are left with is a film that, while good and worth a watch, isn't as audacious or bold as the men it's supposed to be about. The severity of what Garrett accomplished isn't showcased as impactful as it could have been throughout, and there isn't much conflict until the final quarter of the film. All in all, however, it is still worth a watch, and does still remind us and hopefully help inspire us to combat our own adversities here and now. After all, what we face tomorrow may not compare to what we and many others have overcome in the past. I give The Banker 3 out of 4 stars.
So 3 out of 4 stars for The Banker, Apple TV Plus original. I have to throw that in there. I am kind of surprised because obviously they haven't really had a whole lot. I mean, they've had a lot come out. Oops, sorry about that, guys. Oh gosh.
Yeah, their selection's pretty rough.
It is, and the thing about The Banker is, well, I guess that's what we're going to get into here, because Mr. Keith Cheatham here, he's joining us again, and he reviewed it for us. So Keith, you gave it 3 out of 4 stars. However, I think I'm going to drop. I think I'm going to drop down to 2.5. I'm sorry, Keith. There you are. You're with us. Yeah, he's with us now.
Okay. I was just say, yeah, wow. I was surprised by your 2.5.
Well, I did like it. I just thought, for the most part, I thought some parts of it, it's not about it being slow. I thought it picked up towards the end, which is actually a good thing.
Definitely.
Especially considering that, I mean, heck, nowadays you mostly are stuck with, more often than not, slower movies in the end than in the beginning. But the one thing about this movie that I didn't particularly like was the rush, and you alluded to it in your review, the rushing through some of those events in history, or not really the events in history, but the more personal events in their lives and how it impacted them. I didn't really have a human connection to them necessarily. And so that...
Yeah, I would agree with that.
That was kind of my bigger complaint. And not only that, but also... I just felt like in the beginning they tried too hard to have these wisecracks and these moments of like trying to, for instance, the first time that they're sitting down explaining to Nicholas Holt's character kind of how to go about approaching this, banking, pulling a quick one on the bosses that be, and they're going through all of these different steps. I for one thought they were trying too hard to make the methodology itself sound so out of this world and abstract that no common person could just understand it. Mm-hmm. But if you're a normal common person, you could kind of follow along with what they were doing. And I didn't think they did too good a job until later in the film of kind of just showing you how impressive it was, the knowledge that these guys knew.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, like, you see that in those movies that are typically like the, I'm thinking the films that are, you're any kind of like The Imitation Game or Apollo 13, like a lot of the, very significant...
The jargon.
The jargon, yeah. And it just, I felt like the use of the jargon in this sense, they didn't play with it as strong as I would have liked them to. And I thought it ended up being something that took away from, for me, it kind of seemed cheap a little bit. And I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It just it knocked off that little half a point for me for it to be a 3-star.
I didn't have a problem with that so much per se as I did like I really enjoyed like Samuel L. Jackson. I did find like the funny parts with him I thought were fine just because he's louder than life anyways. Whereas they may not have landed with other characters.
Yeah.
But to me, there wasn't a lot of. I felt like it didn't impress upon the significance of what they were doing fairly well until the very end. And then by the end, when you kind of learn the impact of what happened, it's like, oh, wow, like what they did, like really did kind of help cause, a ripple effect that would help, civil rights in the long run. But really, it just kind of seemed like obviously, yes, there was that battle of, African Americans couldn't own land and banks and things of that nature, or it's not that it was illegal, it's just that no one would sell to them. So that's
Right.
why they went through the process of getting Nicholas Hoult to front for them. But it just seemed like, yeah, it took the material fairly lightly until they started to get in trouble with
Yes.
with the bank trying to stop them because they found out what they were doing.
Right.
And then it felt like the very last half hour, when the ramifications and the seriousness of everything going on finally came into play, that was it. It was like you only had like the last 30 minutes
Yeah,
for
and to me, for the stakes to have been for them to have rose so far, and then
Yes.
all of a sudden to kind of just it to be over, I just felt like that was a little bit of a cheap way to. I mean, granted, now here's the thing: this movie was only made for $10 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say that's actually for it to be a period piece of this kind.
Yeah, it's really well done.
It's really well done. Again, I thought maybe in the beginning it was a little slow. For instance, one thing that I didn't like were a lot of the scenes that were supposed to be emotional, or at least between like him and his wife or him and his dad. A lot of them were set up to tell the narrative in such a way that it seemed forced. And it seemed like these scenes only existed for the sole purpose to not continue or show you the true relationship between these people, but yet to keep the narrative going as to why it would connect to the next scene. And to me, a good writer and good writing in general in a film is going to seamlessly transition from scene to scene without it feeling forced or without it feeling like it's a setup just for the movie to continue. Mm-hmm. And I thought that this movie felt that way from the very beginning till about the midway point, and it started to find its roots. It started to get used to itself in knowing that these characters were now somebody that you had been with. It was almost like if they had spent that kind of time setting up these characters in the first 10 minutes of the film, I would have been okay with it.
Yeah.
And then let them ride out the rest of the film, and then you wouldn't have had that bigger issue of, feeling contrived. But unfortunately, it took most of the film, and it wasn't only until the last half of the film that I really felt like they started understanding their characters, and you almost let the characters then started telling the story on their own.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I was checking out like the Rotten Tomatoes on this movie. It's like 100% audience.
Yeah.
73 critic.
Yeah. It is high.
But the critic consensus kind of says it almost sums up your review about it being a timid approach to dramatizing its fact-based story. And I guess since I haven't seen the movie, I would ask the question, like, do you think that a lot of these fact-based these story-driven movies that are based on true events, a lot of them tend to do this. A lot of them tend to kind of water down the characters in the story to where, especially when it's one like this, where it's kind of like a race thing.
Yeah.
And you take the significance of these characters and kind of dilute them down in a way that it almost makes it takes away the impact of what they really accomplished.
Right.
And do you feel like this movie does that in a sense in the beginning, and then doesn't? You said it doesn't really ramp up until towards the end. So is that more damaging to this fact-based story, or is it a good representation?
I would say I feel like the movie doesn't impress enough how hard it would have been for them. Like, I mean, yes, it's the fact that it shows them having disguised themselves as chauffeurs or the janitor to even go in the bank they own, which, I mean, is impressive. But it never really shows just how bad, racism and segregation was back then. It's only shown in those moments where they can't really enter in the bank that they actually own.
Right.
And I feel like the ramifications of what they have, because the movie in a way tries to paint them as so smart, and it shows them at the very beginning making all these purchases and accomplishing all this, and because they are smart, but it doesn't show you that the fact that they're doing all this is impressive. It just makes it seem like, oh, they're smart and this is easy and they do it. And then when they get to actually buying the banks, it's like by that point, you're like, well, they've already purchased like 177 properties. What problem is it going to be for them to get a bank now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I also to kind of harp on that too. I don't want to harp on it. I do want to kind of shed some light on some of the things that I liked. I thought that the acting was good. I thought that Samuel L. Jackson was kind of typical Samuel L. Jackson, but when is that a bad thing?
Yeah.
And then I did like,
Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie. I thought he did a well job. And I know you underlined that in your review, but I thought that they were good enough characters and they played enough off of each other, and especially Nicholas Holt's character. I thought him portraying, kind of an innocent guy coming in to just want to help
Nicholas
out.
Holt, I think did probably. I mean, I liked them all, but I thought his performance was probably the best.
Yeah, and I thought he did. Yeah, I thought he was the glue between them two. Because they were such stark contrasts between each other, and he was the kind of I'll go along to help either one of you all out. But then, like for instance, I guess go back to the negative. One thing I liked about his character, but I also didn't like, was I liked how they were kind of showing his motivations. He finds a pretty girl, he wants to get married, have a life, and then he's worried about, you can kind of see she's nudging him like, hey, you've been doing this as a partner for so long, it's time that you start getting recognized for it. And I thought, and I thought that was a good story, but at the same time, I thought, to a degree, I wanted to see a little bit more depth there between him and his wife, other than these conversations again that allude to the overarching story as a whole, which is, why are you even in this, and how do you connect with these characters?
Yeah,
you can show that by showing your love for her and your all's just relationship together. And there's plenty of ways you can bring that out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like they didn't give him enough of a I understood his reasonings behind why he does what he does by the end of the movie, but I don't feel like, again, they impressed the ramifications of what his stake was and why he decided to make his decisions.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where I feel like they had three very interesting characters with three different lives and three different motivations in history, and they tried to get all three of their stories in this one movie, and there just wasn't enough time. It was like if they wanted to make the movie about Garrett, they needed to focus on Garrett and let the other two characters be supporting characters. But in a way, it was almost like, because of their decisions all being so significant in the story, they wanted to try to showcase all of it.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I think they could have, if they had played it nice and well enough, I think they could have expanded on those three stories. I think they really should have just focused on Nicholas Holt's character and Mackie's character. And I really think they could have done a good job of making those characters the strong pillars. Samuel L. Jackson could have been like the cut up and trying to be the comedic relief throughout the film, but at the end of the day, I really think they would have done a better job of just focusing on those two and their relationship. But you're right, all the threads within their own individual lives that ended up kind of either becoming the stumbling block for why they were making certain decisions, or became their successes for why they were able to make certain decisions. It wasn't well developed enough or well written enough, especially with the overarching theme, of course, of the Jim Crow laws that they were facing and going up against. And that was where it kind of felt a little muddled as well. Again, I'm really harping on the negative, and I don't mean to. It is a good film. It's worth seeing. I wouldn't, it's definitely, if you have an Apple TV Plus subscription, especially with there not being a lot out there to recommend right now, 100%. I would at least
It's one of those where I would say it's a solid start for Apple, and if they could keep up a trend like this and produce good content, then they might be able to actually be a competitor in the streaming wars.
Right. Exactly.
But right now, it's not. I mean, this is all they have, really.
I mean, especially with their other series not performing as well. I mean, the morning show, got some buzz during the award season, and it's got some avid followers. But other than that, I mean, Apple TV Plus just has been. We were touting it for almost a year with leading into the streaming wars, with Disney Plus coming out too. And it's just one of those things where it has really failed to pick up outside of, the Apple fan base. And really, it's not been on a lot of critics' radars either.
Well, I mean, honestly, at this point, I have it because I got a free subscription with
Same
it.
Here,
because I have a new phone or whatever. But it's like, if I didn't get that free subscription, I would not honestly pay for it.
Well, I was going to say, Sean, since you haven't, you've found other ways and other means. But have you not seen anything from Apple that you
I have seen the show C.
Okay.
With Jason Momoa or whatever. It's not very good.
Okay.
It's interesting, but it's not that great. I think it has already been renewed, but I don't know how they'll go more than 2 or 3 seasons with it. It's just not. there's no substance there.
Really?
It's nothing like The Witcher or anything that we're seeing from Netflix.
Really?
As far as like Amazon Prime probably has a one-up on Netflix as far as like good series, like long-running series. They have some really good crime stuff and things like that. I think they have more than Netflix, but honestly though, like Witcher, Altered Carbon, those kind of shows on Netflix are going to be longer lasting than I think anything that Apple's putting out right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're saying this movie was made for like $10 million, and I was just looking at the director, and this is one of those movies that they gave like, you're giving it 3 stars. This is obviously a decent movie according to Keith and even Rotten Tomatoes, but this guy directed The Adjustment Bureau. He directed Ocean's 12, The Bourne Ultimatum, and that's like it. That's all he's done.
Well, The Bourne Ultimatum wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad.
The Bourne
Ocean's
series
12
is
is
good.
The
okay.
Justice Bureau.
Yeah.
I mean, but so this is like the director is not someone who's well touted, and so to get him and to give him a movie, I like Apple TV and Amazon and Netflix because I feel like they're giving the no-name directors and writers the chance to make their big move. And,
Exactly.
And this could be
It
one of his bigger ones, yeah.
Right. And I think that is what's going to be telling moving forward with Apple is, are they going to expend more resources than just these? I mean, and again, for this to be a $10 million budget film, and again, it's not bad.
Yeah.
I think there were moments where I felt like because it was a period piece, you could tell there was nothing wrong production value wise, but it just didn't have quite that flair of something that you would see. I mean, heck,
from Tarantino.
Yeah. And it didn't fit quite well. You could tell it was, for instance, a film that amazes me, and this is what I think you have to do, not just with period pieces, but smaller budgets in general, is focus on material that you can almost convincingly get away with it being a smaller budget. For instance, something like Upgrade was created,
Green Book.
And Green Book
was a pretty cheap movie to make. So.
And Green Book focused on just the
Green Book is a
heartwarming
fantastic
tale.
movie.
Yeah.
And those right there are movies that it's like the smaller set pieces of just 2 guys driving in a car. Well, hell you could shoot that cheap.
Oh, yeah.
But
then again, that's a movie that took a true story and didn't really dilute it down. It actually shows the impressive nature of their relationship and what he went through as a black man going through the South.
That time.
And so I don't think it kind of watered down any of the instances that they did deal with.
Right.
But that's the difference between a good movie and a okay movie.
And
a great movie and an okay
Yeah.
movie.
I agree. And I think for me, that's kind of where this settled. And it's not a bad movie. It's definitely worth a watch. Again, the 2 hours you spend with these people, you get to know them, and you do start to understand their plight, and you start to feel for them. And it really does have a powerful. I like the ending. I thought the way it ended wasn't a cliffhanger. I thought it was well done. I thought the build-up was appropriate. I thought the build-up, or I'll say that the different way. I liked the ending, but I did think the build-up could have been better getting to that point. But overall, you see that through the characters throughout the film. And for that, it is a good movie. It is worth a watch. But for Apple TV Plus, you're heading in the right direction with these. Again, they're hoping the bigger star power is what's going to draw people, because so far, that's what we've seen in a lot of their content. Reese Witherspoon, Jennifer Aniston, Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
It's like they're depending on these Samuel L. Jackson. It's like they're depending on these strong, huge celebrities to draw the crowd in. But to me, something like the movie Upgrade, made for $6 million, is going to impress me a heck of a lot more than something like this with a big name star that is just so.
Yep.
And again, that may, I know that's again picking on the film, and it sounds like I don't like the film, but I do. But go check it out if you don't have a subscription to Apple TV Plus. Heck, you can get a free month for it. Yeah, I mean, you can probably download. Even then, it's $5 for a month. You're quarantined. What are you gonna do?
Right.
It's better than spending $20 to rent one movie.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
And I thought that was last week when we were talking about that, I thought that was a joke.
Nope.
Like there's no way it's $20 just to rent the movie, but that is.
Oh, they are.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is.
That's insane.
I'll just save my money and go see it in IMAX.
Exactly. I know.
When the theaters reopen.
Well, Yeah.
Or just download it for free like I did.
That's more or less what we're going to do.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I think it's ready. Are y'all ready to move on to our headline this week?
Sure.
All right.
Headlines.
Headlines. I know, I still don't have an intro for that. It's pretty bad. But yes, our headline this week, because of all the quarantine and the coronavirus and the theaters shutting down, Netflix is actually doing something kind of nice for their peeps.
Oh.
They are handing out $100 million
Right.
to the creative community to help support them. Now, here's the thing.
I'm creative.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Just
Where's
not
our
for
cut?
Netflix. You have to sign with Netflix
Well,
first.
we don't have cameras that I guess will shoot on their level.
We
so-
need to get a hold of
Yeah.
Netflix. Maybe we can get $100 million out of this.
Our new one shoots 4K. That's on their
Well,
level.
no, they have to, it has a certain kind of spec it has to reach.
Oh, God.
I think it's like red and airy are the only ones that they will be okay with.
Whatever.
But I will say that I think this is a great PR stunt. I don't really know how to take it other than what we were kind of talking about before the show, which was how in the hell are they pulling this off?
Yeah.
I mean, you're spending millions of dollars on these productions, but I guess once they halt,
Yeah.
you don't have to spend millions of dollars on them anymore. I mean, you're in the red already.
Yeah, there's a reason they chose red for their title. Like,
Yeah.
everything with Netflix is red because they are.
So we've
They're
talked.
in the red.
So we've talked multiple times in the past about how Netflix, is in debt and puts themselves further in debt with every production they make. And now it's like they're going to just hand out millions of dollars to people. And it's like, it's a nice gesture. I mean, certainly. But at the same time, it's like, can they afford to do it?
And here's the thing. I know that they're pretty much touting it as, we're helping the community. We're helping, those who have been laid off. There's tons of people who work hourly who obviously don't have
Electricians, carpenters, drivers,
and so
all that stuff.
I guess what they're doing is just funneling the $100 million back into sort of a kind of a slush fund for, we're going to support these people who've been laid off,
Right.
which I commend. But then what's going to happen when production starts back up and they still need to be paid, and yet you've been paying them for all this time that they don't? I mean, again, it's generous. It's just, how does this work for your benefit, Netflix, in the sense that, you don't have the money. And the more and more you continue to spend millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars on productions and buying up these, these new, new projects every year.
Yeah. I mean, it even says this is in addition to the 2 weeks pay that they've already committed to the crew and cast of productions that are being suspended. So, I mean, that's, like I said, you said it well. It's a PR stunt.
Yeah.
I mean, it is generous, but at the same time, it's a way of keeping their name relevant in a time when all of their stuff is being shut down.
Right.
And, I mean, it'd be like AMC theaters offering free popcorn and Coke to everybody, that comes back when they reopen or whatever.
It's going to happen, too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just but that's a PR stunt. It's a way to keep their name out there, keep people interested in it so that when they do reopen, people are still willing to watch or come visit. And but it does help these if it works out the way that they're saying it. I mean, it is good for the people that are part of a production that nobody ever hears about unless you're deep into the credits.
Right.
The people who make the stage and make the sets and who manage all the outfits and build the prop. I mean, all that stuff. They're not getting paid when these productions stop. And the actors make so much money that they're not hurting, and the director and producers, they're not hurting. But these are the working people. They're the ones that are hurting.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that they're trying to do that, but I'd really like to know in what way that they are they going to pay their salaries, completely while they're shut down, or is it just like the government's trying to do, where it's like, here's $1,000,
here's a stimulus package,
make do with it however you can,
and it's like you get this one-time offer, this one-time check,
maybe someone's house payment for a month,
right?
But
and I can't fault them. It's like it's again, like you said, it's a nice gesture. It's good on their part.
Yeah.
Plus, I think, truth be told, what better way, especially to get your name in the headlines for something positive, than when everybody's at home and they're going to be subscribing to you. And it's like, you're going to think while you're subscribing to Netflix, you're supporting these struggling artists. Most people aren't going to care. Let's be honest. They're not,
most people the average person, I mean, our viewers know now because they're watching us,
Yeah.
but most people aren't even going to know Netflix is doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. But that's the thing. I think that I think good on them, but especially right now in a time where we know for a fact that their subscription base is already going up. It right now is, going through the roof because of the fact that people are stuck at home, and you've seen more subscription. I mean, their stock prices actually jumped when everybody started going up instead of losing money.
Mm-hmm.
Their stock prices jumped ahead of Disney even because of the fact that right now it is popular to have a streaming service, and they are the most well known when it comes to that.
People are staying home, making babies, and watching Netflix.
Watching The Witcher. I mean, what better entertainment can you have?
I know it.
But I don't know. I think it's a good thing. I do think Netflix is doing the right thing. Again, I think time is going to tell, because I really think a lot of this in terms of Netflix is betting on just the fact alone that they're going to continue to raise their subscription rate, but also that, I don't know, I think it's one of those situations where, until crap hits the fan for them and either their subscription base drops dramatically or they just don't have the content that people want to see, that's when it's going to start catching up with them. The reason they're able to kind of throw out this kind of money like they have been and being in the red is because people still see them as valuable. And that's great. That's the whole point of the stock market, is you're valuable as long as you're keeping people, entertained, and as long as you're keeping people, in tune. However, the bigger question is, how long does that last? How long is that going to go?
As theaters open back up and people go back to work, then, people are going to drop their subscriptions.
Well, maybe. And especially, I mean, do you think that's going to be a contention for Netflix?
It could be. I'd like to see people hang on. The only thing with Netflix that I'm bothered by, honestly, is I didn't even realize that their subscription fee had gone up from the last time that I had checked it. But I told you guys recently my account was hacked.
Yes.
And so when I spent hours chatting with somebody trying to get that under control, it took me to my account overview, and I was like, dang, $15.99. I had no idea that it had jumped up to that much.
Oh, really?
The last time I looked at it was $12.99. So there's been a couple of price raises that I haven't noticed.
Yeah.
It just comes, it's automatic payment, because Netflix. I can't live without Netflix. So it's just an automatic withdrawal, and I had no idea that that's how much
you were
it
paying
went
for
up.
it?
So if they jack it up again on top of that, I mean, it's in no time it's going to be $20 a month.
You know it.
And by then, if they're not offering any more than what they have right now, which has kind of been slim lately, then it's going to be tough for me to consider keeping it.
Yeah.
Versus just,
even in these tough times.
Yeah.
Even right
because
now.
I have other ways of getting the movies I want to see.
There's other ways to view things.
That's right.
They're not the only streaming service.
That's right.
I mean,
That's true. So Keith, what about you? I mean, are you kind of in the? I mean, as far as going back to the topic at hand, praise Netflix, or are you in the same boat as Sean, is where it's hey, they're already charging me enough. I love to see that you all are doling out $100 million for the creatives, but at the same time, if you're charging me this much for a prescription, I need more. I need more cowbell. Okay. So
it's one of those. Yeah, no, it's one of those things where I mean, I think what they're doing is nice, and I applaud them for it, but it's at the same time, I do agree that it's kind of strange to hear all these stories for not just months, but it's been years where Netflix have talked about how they operate constantly in the red.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's we're going to give away $100 million. And it's nobody's going to say, oh, don't do that. That's wrong.
Yeah.
It is nice.
Exactly.
But it's one of those things where it's can you afford to do that? Because
without raising my price.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Because here's the thing. Themselves out of business.
Right. Well, you got to think about
they would raise the price first before they went out of business. So
it's like pulling a movie pass.
Good Lord. That one just they didn't just raise the prices. They shut everything down. Live to
talk
people
about hacking your account.
Yeah.
I mean, they damn near changed your password. I don't know how that changed.
Changed your password so you couldn't cancel your subscription. I mean, that was just dirty.
But no, but that is the funny thing about this is it's like, even if they didn't, I mean, if they're spending $100 million and the productions aren't going, what happens if, say, all these productions that have stopped, they won't premiere until late next year?
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the thing. I mean, they may speed up the schedule in terms of their release, based on, they may just try to speed up okay, we'll get back to production, and sometimes we take a little bit more time for creative, but let's start getting back to work and getting the hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
But if you're doling out $100 million, and then we're paying that subscription fee, and then we don't get any new content for an extended time because of the fact that you just
dropped
out $100 million.
Right.
That's the thing. If you could technically support the artists, but also give a kickback to the people who are supporting you, I mean, that's going to be the telling thing in the few months ahead. The telling thing is going to be if, it's great to support the artists right now that are out of work. But again, if you don't have any new content and then these artists are back at work, but we don't see anything they do for another year, you're going to have a lot of pissed off subscribers.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing.
One thing about Netflix that I'm curious about, and I've noticed this in the last week, one of the movies, I pointed it out to you all, but there's been several new movies that have shown up on Netflix, because I get on there every night and check through stuff, add stuff to my list, take stuff off. There's been a lot of movies added to Netflix that don't say Netflix original, but they're also foreign films, and several of them are dubbed over in English, and then a lot of them are not in English at all. But it almost looks to me like in this time where a lot of the U.S. production and even the European production has been halted, there's been 2 or 3 movies from Mexico that have been put on there. That all the production companies and everything, it's all blah 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 blah. So it's all Mexican, it's all Hispanic, coming from South America or Central America or wherever it's coming from, and it's like they're dubbed over in English. They're terrible. They're okay movies, but I'm just wondering if Netflix is like saying, hey, if you want to get your movie seen by millions of people, send it our way.
Absolutely.
We'll roll it in front of millions of people on our subscription service, but you're gonna supplement our income that we're losing from all these other productions. Because I'm noticing a lot of these movies.
Oh, I am too.
There's actually several from like Norwegian and Switzerland and all that kind of stuff. But it's just strange. All of a sudden, in maybe the last month or so, I've noticed 2 or 3 every week that's popping up on there. One of them that I just watched was called The Platform.
Yeah.
Great concept for a movie. The dubbing is terrible, so that makes the acting look terrible and sound terrible. But the movie itself was very intriguing, but again, everything was Hispanic. All the production company, the director, producer, everything. So it's like I know they got that movie from somewhere else, and it's like, I'm just wondering if they're selling out spots on their streaming service to places where production isn't halted, or productions that have already been completed, and it's like, we'll show that, and you'll pay us handsomely, because otherwise millions of people aren't going to see it,
right?
Without
I think that's their way of. I think it may be kind of twofold. I think they're maybe giving them a deal to some degree.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not saying they're ripping them off.
Right.
I'm just saying.
But no, I think
they're getting content from places that production's still going,
exactly,
or has already been done, and
they're basically
it's
saying,
not good for us U.S. subscribers because they're not that great of movies,
right?
Or you've got to read, all the other subtitles or listen to this terrible.
Well, and that's always to me that's the bigger question. There was already a problem with too much content on Netflix, and now I mean, throw in every single other streaming service you have, and so to me, when you throw in that plethora of content. Yeah, one shouldn't argue for, hey, but you're paying that $15.99 subscription, but you got even more from all over the world.
All over the world that I don't want, though.
But see, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
To me, I don't have a problem with it because sometimes there's some hidden gems.
Oh, no doubt. Like I said, this movie was a great movie other than the dubbing.
And that's
terrible.
Well, there never are.
No, I mean, it was really bad.
It was really bad.
But the movie itself was like, had me on the edge of my seat. Yeah, it's good.
See, okay, and take our Academy Award-winning Best Picture this year, Parasite.
Right.
So you have these movies that are worthwhile and worth your attention, but think of how many American films are made every year that are absolute trash.
Garbage. Yeah.
And how many are on Netflix that are absolute garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got your freaking Neil Breen, and I mean, you've got.
If he's on Netflix, I will watch it.
I'm waiting for the day for Netflix to. I mean, Netflix, you want to give $100 million to support the community? Throw $10 million to Neil Breen to get all his films. I mean, just put him on there. $10 million.
God,
give that guy. I want that guy to create that guy. If he had $10 million,
yeah.
You thought The Banker was good.
Oh,
I'm telling you, the Banker's got nothing.
It sounds like you're saying Baker.
The Baker?
The Baker.
The Banker's got nothing. Nothing on Neil Breen. Okay, man? I'm telling you.
Tell me the name of one of his movies.
Oh, gosh. Hold on. Not Separate Ways. Oh, you're putting me on the spot. I don't know.
I thought it was going to be worst than that. That's not a bad title.
Oh, no,
I thought it was going to be
Twisted Pear. Twisted Pear is
Pear?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Man.
The pears are twisted.
You know, I'm saying Keith popped in there. I think it was been a while before we had heard Keith.
I know.
I think he was.
I think he's got.
I had to go.
He was indisposed.
I was unable to comment for a little while.
Well, no, we were just talking about we think Netflix should. Well, you heard everything.
I heard you.
Yeah, he just.
You
wasn't.
I heard
muted.
everything you were saying.
We couldn't hear you.
Couldn't hear me.
And what you were doing.
Yeah.
All right, I think we've beat this horse enough.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Shouldn't beat horses.
You mean we beat it with the dead horse, right?
That's right.
That's what you said last week.
I did
Beat it with a
terribly.
dead horse.
I think. Oh, I did.
We're gonna
Didn't
beat
I?
it with the dead horse.
I
Yeah.
screwed that
Yeah.
up, didn't I? Oh.
You pooched
Yeah.
the screwed.
That's a good one.
That
I'm
was
saying that
it.
from now on.
You pooched the screwed.
The screw.
All right, Keith, I got to mute you again because now we're moving on to our Vices segment. We've got a good one for everybody this week who's stuck in quarantine. So I think it's time that we hit that intro.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Oh, I got it like right as soon as I said it on the track.
Right.
Just saying. Right as soon as I said it. That's right. Vices. Our Vices topic this week, actually given to you all by our good friend, Mr. Keith Cheatham. You remember what you sent me? What is our Vices topic?
I said, while we're all quarantined, locked up because of sicknesses and such, what vices are you partaking in? I mean, you got to keep yourself entertained somehow.
Yeah, that's true.
What vices are you all
our quarantine
regularly treating yourself to?
Yes.
Well, Brandon, unfortunately, he's an essential employee, so he's still working.
Yeah.
So am I. I'm not.
Yeah,
off.
Sean too. Yeah.
See, he works in healthcare. He's probably the most essential right now.
Yeah. Even though like my team is shut down, our building is still. They're still paying me to sit there and do nothing.
You're training.
So I'm training and doing nothing.
I think by the time you
getting
get
paid
done
for
with
it.
this training, you're going to be like a doctor.
I'm going to be a doctor.
I
Yeah.
think so.
I think so too.
You said you read that book the first day, and
I did.
you already knew how to like do a suture and everything.
Oh yeah. I was doing training that I'm not even supposed to be doing.
just
I was watching videos, man. I'm racking it up.
I'm telling you, by the time
I could put an IV in you, and I could sew your cut too.
Ooh,
I could do it all.
man,
Yeah.
it'll scare you too. Surprised you can do it with an IV.
Hmm?
I'm surprised you could do that with an IV.
Oh, I could stick you. I just couldn't stick myself. I don't like the needles.
So, okay. Well, you know what? I think by the time you're done with all this training, you're going to have a solution for COVID.
I probably
I think you're going to have a cure.
I do.
He's
It's
gonna
called-
have the cure.
It's called hydroxychloro something.
Hydroxychloroquine something.
Chlorophyll.
Oh, no. That just knocked you out cold.
Chlorophyll.
You just breathe this in real deep. You won't have any more troubles.
That's right.
I got something you can breathe deep.
Oh God.
Hey, I'm not saying nothing.
So,
I don't
so
know where
what,
we're
so
going
what have
with
you
this,
all?
so maybe.
What have you all been doing in your we're not quarantined, so
That's
it's kind
the
of
problem.
difficult.
It's hard because we need our viewers out there to write in and see what they've been doing on quarantine.
Yeah.
Because truth be told, it's like none of us have had that luxury of being
The
quarantined.
luxury? People can't work and make money. Yeah, they got the luxury.
Luxury.
Hey, I've seen some people's posts. They are making this. I'm telling you.
Oh, they're having fun.
Some people are
Some
going
of
on vacation.
Yeah,
They
He
are.
said vacation. The beaches are closed.
That's right.
I'm over.
No,
They talked about the spread in Florida where a bunch of people went on spring break and then they all spread it to each other.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Idiots. I'm telling you. Freaking stupid. And they've actually got some that have come back and they started testing positive.
Yeah.
And then people who've had coronavirus parties,
I know.
who've also tested
Is
positive.
Is that like a
just
chickenpox party? You try to give it to each?
I guess.
I don't know.
It's
I don't
not like
understand it.
chickenpox. You're not supposed to spread it to each other.
I didn't know you were supposed to spread chickenpox.
You're not either, but people did that. They had chickenpox parties.
people
They
did.
Put all
Are
the
you
kids in a
serious?
room
Yeah,
together.
especially with their children. It's like if they might as well go ahead and get it now.
Oh, I got
Yeah,
you.
because
Get
once
it
you
out
get
of
it,
the
you're not
way.
going to get it again.
That
but,
makes-
but the problem with COVID is you can get it again.
See,
It has like
And
a
it can kill
5
you.
or 6 week turnaround. Yeah, I mean you can like get it 5 weeks later.
holy crap.
Yeah.
Why are people doing this?
'Cause
This
they're
is
stupid.
This is
Exactly.
dumb. I will say, here's the thing. No, a lot of people are treating it like vacation. And while I haven't been quarantined like a lot of people, and even the people who've been quarantined, a lot of them have been trying to work. A lot of people working from home.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of teachers doing things at home, getting lesson plans. In fact, if there's one group I've seen madder than, when are teachers not mad?
Yeah.
I've got.
Yes, they are.
It's true,
They're pissed
though.
about
You know,
everything.
and look, you get mad at that statement, but the fact I got two in my family. My brother and sister-in-law are teachers. I'm not knocking them. They work hard as anybody.
Oh, they're definitely underappreciated.
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
underpaid.
yeah,
too.
And you
But
never know
I
the amount
agree.
of work that they do in and outside the classroom.
Right.
But at the same time, I feel like they're always
Yeah.
bitching about something. And so,
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna say this though, I've seen teachers going above and beyond during this time just to reach their students.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing: I already knew people who were in news who didn't understand technology. I feel for these teachers who don't know a damn thing about technology, and they've got to depend on it right now for the next month.
Yeah, my son does all of his homework on a Chromebook.
Yeah.
And every day his teacher does like a group, like a hangout, a Google Hangout. And he gets on there, and he's 6 years old. He gets on there and does that and talks to his teacher, and they're all the kids are on there together. And I mean, it's really cool. I wish they had stuff like that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But it at the same time, it is like it's kind of a lot for these little kids to learn. And as a parent that doesn't always know how to work all that stuff, like it's difficult because trying to help him with his homework is like
I would say, let alone you're
insane.
trying to learn math again.
Yeah.
The way it was taught to them at that age.
Yeah.
And the way you learned.
But it's like when I learned, it was on a piece of paper with a pencil.
Yeah.
And they do it all on a Chromebook. It's like they do it all through these math games and all this stuff. And
And
it's
let's-
not just 2
and let's
plus 2
be
equals
honest,
4.
too.
It's like you got to play cards. You got to do all these videos.
See, and let's be
I
honest.
don't like that.
Since when is educational software ever good?
Never.
You know it's crap.
Yeah.
And you know every time you use it, it's buggy.
It's all
it
Google
never
Docs
works.
is all it is.
And I'm telling you, these poor teachers got to deal with these kids trying to learn on technology that's just so antiquated and is crap.
Yeah.
So I feel for the teachers out there, but other than that group, everybody else who has been quarantined, or even us who have at least, gone about and done our normal daily things, we still haven't had the same,
impact.
we haven't had the same impact. And going out in public, it is a little different, because
Yeah.
you can't go to the restaurants, you can't go and enjoy like bowling or, freaking, I don't even know what else.
You can't go bowling.
It's like
Can't
Brandon
go to the
doesn't-
movies.
Brandon doesn't get out much.
Can't go roller
That's
skating
all I would
either.
ever do, man. I'm telling you. When I was free, I used to go bowling all the time.
Go bowling,
It's-
eat food.
couldn't go to the arcade.
I don't know.
No, you can't go to the movies.
I mean, like you can
Can't
get
go-
liquor though.
yeah,
The
it's
liquor
an essential.
store is open. It's essential
I think
because of
that-
those alcoholics out there.
Neil has posted a couple of his quarantine vices.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
both
I
Neil and
noticed
Megan.
someone else did too. Yeah, go ahead.
He said baking, TV/movies, and wine have been his
Ooh,
vices.
Some
So
Cheez-Its in there.
some
Wine and
Cheez-Its in there would be
Cheez-Its.
nice.
Wine and Cheez-Its, man. I'm telling you, that's good stuff.
Wine and Cheez-Its.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
Cheez-Its and a nice cab.
That's right.
With pinkies up, all right?
Brad says his vice would definitely be Scotch
Oh,
if he was
Oh,
that's a good
if
one.
he was quarantined.
That's a good
but he's
one.
not.
But I thought didn't Brad just post recently that he Was he not laid off?
He said
Or
his job is considered essential.
Okay, good for Brad. That's always a good
because he works
thing to
with
hear.
insurance. I mean,
Neil says
Yeah.
Boston is all out of Cheez-Its.
oh
Well,
man,
that's like TP.
They must be hoarded. They must be hoarding the Cheez-Its in Boston the way people down here are hoarding toilet paper.
That's
No,
crazy.
Well, that is crazy. I couldn't live in
I
a
think-
world without Cheez-Its.
I know it.
I mean, I couldn't do that. I would.
It's like I could find other
I
things
mean,
to like with.
I
but what
would
do you do without
quarantine myself
Cheez-Its?
in
Yeah.
like a dark room at that point.
Yeah, he needs to come back to Kentucky because we just bought like 4 boxes of Cheez-Its the
White
other day.
Yeah, there's still
too.
Cheez-Its in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Tabasco flavor.
Oh, I haven't had those.
Oh, you haven't had those?
No.
Are good. I like those.
We had a chip tasting contest at work last week,
Yeah.
and the chips that won were Lay's taco chips.
Really?
And I swear to God, they taste
Dead up like a
exactly
taco?
like a freaking taco with
No.
cheese on it and everything.
Really?
They're amazing. Like it's crazy.
I'll try it.
So if you can find taco chips, get those while you're quarantined at home and eat those.
Well, then there you go. That
Doritos taco chips, those are pretty good.
Well, these are just Lay's potato
Lay's
chips,
potato
but I
chips?
mean
Yeah.
they taste like
Maybe-
you're biting into a taco. It's crazy. It's like magic.
Maybe that's what
It's
we
like
need.
Onward.
Magic,
Onward.
you know.
We're living in a magical realm again.
Well, I can tell you, I am a little bit upset because of not being able to go out and just. I mean, you literally are. I mean, my life
Well,
hasn't changed
I actually
much.
have a.
So
I actually have a vice that I just thought of.
What is it?
What is that?
As I'm home, I am drinking a beverage, and it just occurred to me that Mountain Dew now makes Mountain Dew Baja Blast Zero, and it actually tastes like phenomenal. Not
Did not
like
know
I mean
that.
I don't mind Mountain Dew Zero, but it still doesn't taste like Mountain Dew. But
No,
the
it
Mountain Dew
doesn't.
Baja Blast, Mountain Dew Baja Blast Zero is almost a dead ringer for the real thing. Like I'm extremely impressed with this.
Well, now here's the
okay.
thing. I'm seeing Sean kind of look a little concerned over here because the last time was Mountain Dew Zero.
Yeah, you
And
told
you
me it
tried
Well, I
that.
never said that. I
But
never
you
said
did
that
say-
tasted like Mountain Dew. I said I like it. and
I
think
like
tastes
it
better than
too, but
Diet.
I can't really taste the difference between the two. But you all swear up and down you can. So Sean, are you a little skeptical of this Baja
I'm a little
Blast?
skeptical. The zero thing, I don't get into that because there's no
Yeah.
zero that tastes like the real thing.
The real thing, yeah.
Nothing.
Well, it's
So,
true.
but I would be willing
It's
to
not
try
that they
it.
taste like the real thing. They still taste like Coke Zero doesn't taste like Coke, but I love the taste of Coke Zero. It tastes good.
Okay.
Same here.
Yeah.
I've
Okay.
gotten used
Yeah.
to it. I won't say it's like my favorite. I mean, I like drinking original Coke. It's just
In all
I
honesty,
can
Big
get
Red
close.
Zero legit does taste like Big Red.
No, I agree.
That's like the only one. That's the only one.
See, I still think I don't know. Maybe Mountain Dew Zero doesn't taste as good as Mountain Dew, but I think it tastes pretty darn close. That
Yeah.
I'm willing to.
Jacob shared his.
Oh yeah.
He said since he's working from home, he walks around without pants. Binge watching.
That is like my favorite.
Scrubs.
vice,
binge
honestly.
watching shows whilst working, and wearing his I think he meant house shoes.
He
but
said
he said
horseshoes?
horseshoes during business hours.
Horseshoes.
I hope he
You
means
don't
house
know.
shoes, but
Maybe
he may have
he has
horseshoes.
horse slippers.
He
and that
could
would be
have
great.
honestly
He
meant
may.
he could have meant horseshoes. His horseshoes.
No, he
His
doesn't
his
have
horseshoes?
horseshoes.
What?
I don't know.
Could you imagine him in heels?
I
No.
could.
He
Oh,
does-
that would be sexy.
He does have
I
nice
can.
calves, though.
I want to
He
see it.
does.
Jacob
now.
does have some pretty beefy calves.
Yeah, we've seen him at the lake.
Yeah,
When
so
he's running
him
from a
in
snake.
heels, those would look even.
True.
They'd be more ripped
Yeah,
walking in heels.
I think so. I think he'd look good in heels.
We want to see your horseshoes, Jacob.
I want
Please.
to see
Strut-
Jacob.
walk this way.
I want to see him walk around in horseshoes without pants on.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. No, I think honestly, it's not much has changed.
PlayStation.
I would say honestly,
That's about
Netflix,
it.
watching movies.
Yeah.
I've been trying to now catch up on movies that, for instance, movies I haven't seen
Yeah.
a lot that have, especially the ones that are now dropping out of the theaters and coming to home. It's just nice to not have to make that trek to
Right.
the theater. So I actually get to make the trek to my couch,
Mm-hmm.
and watch them on there, which is nice. So that's really that and eating. It's been terrible. I do hardly anything different, and yet I eat more. It's not good.
Yeah.
I think it's because I'm making up for the times that I went out to the restaurants, and I probably ate less at the restaurants than I do now. It's
Man.
bad. It's bad. I know. I'm just getting fatter. That's what quarantine's doing to me. I'm just getting fatter.
You're like that meme that says quarantine.
Quarantine.
Keith, what about you? Have you changed at all?
Have I changed?
Yeah, your quarantining days, have they changed you?
I mean, I'm an introvert, so honestly, not a lot
not
for
much
me.
different,
See, I know. It's like that. What was that meme that was going around that was talking about? It was like all the extroverts are coming to the introverts and be like, "Hey, can you teach me how to do this?"
Yeah. It's like how do you entertain yourself?
Yeah. I don't know. It just always worked. Yeah,
read a book. I don't know. Play a video game. Watch a movie. I mean,
go outside and walk.
Yeah.
Honestly,
yeah.
I mean, that was the thing. I didn't go.
You're still allowed to, as long as you're
somewhere,
not around anybody, you're
Yeah.
allowed to go on hikes and stuff. They
Right.
say take your dog for a walk.
You're
Go on a
not
hike.
around anybody. It's like as soon as you see somebody,
Yeah.
you start running the other way.
It's like, get away from me.
Social distancing. Social distancing.
Like I read a book in 3 days, which is really, really fast for me.
Yeah.
And I don't read, but it's just like doing nothing at work right now because we're kind of like just sitting dead in the water. Like I read the Case for Christ was like 800 pages. I read it in like 3 days. Oh my God. Like I just could not stop because there's nothing else to do.
Well, it's almost like
I
one of
just
those
started
things-
reading Lord of the Rings again, but that book took me like I'm not joking. It took me months to get through one of those books
just because
a
so
while
dense,
back.
The
Yeah,
text.
and so I just started reading it again at work. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping to get through that before COVID gets cured. So
Well, see, and that's the thing. It's like one of those things where you're at work and there's downtime, so you put it down and you're like, 5 minutes goes by and you're like, no, there's nothing else to do.
no, so I
I'm
pick
picking
it right
back
back up. I did,
Yeah.
yeah. I do like 2 crossword puzzles and then pick it back up.
Pick it back up.
Or
And you
seeking
get through it.
finds.
You gotta do that.
Seeking
You gotta do that. You gotta do that Sudoku.
You get that
Give you
Sudoku.
some
Nah,
Sudokus.
I don't do that.
Do that
Count
Sudoku.
Dookus.
I don't do the Sudoku.
Well,
I
no,
love Sudoku.
I think for most people that's what it is. I think
Sudoku.
a lot of people have not changed a lot of their routines. For the people who were getting out all the time, going out to places, I will say I don't like that non-freedom. I don't like to not be able to go to the places that I never went to begin with.
Yeah.
I
wish everything was still open,
You don't like
but
the fact
people
that,
were still staying
obviously
home.
you don't like to not be able to go bowling anymore.
Yeah.
But he wants to go bowling with no one else in the bowling alley.
Yeah.
It's like I want to still be able to go out and do these things,
See,
but I don't
yeah.
want anybody to be there.
Well, and unfortunately, I mean, the one place you went to recently and you realized it was when your back was hurting.
Yeah.
And you go to the urgent care and it's like, well, nobody's going to be
There
there.
wasn't anybody there. That's
mean-
why I decided to go ahead and go. I was just like, I'm not going to have to wait. And I did. I was the only person there.
It's a sad day when, like, nobody's even at the ER or the urgent care because of a virus.
Yeah.
Which is the one reason you would
Yeah.
think they'd be there.
Yeah.
I mean, because of this, people are, you have the bogus, my foot hurts, or I don't know, I cut my finger. And it's like those people aren't going anymore because they're scared to death of this disease. So they're not taking up the time for people like you who need it, which is great.
Yeah.
That's perfect. You just speed right through.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, you can't speed through anywhere else. I was looking forward to going bowling by myself.
Yeah.
I mean,
the line at Taco Bell ain't long.
A couple out here are.
Oh, really?
We're a little different in
Yeah.
PRP. Everybody eats that.
Everybody eats that. It's like we got 2 of them in Bardstown, and neither one of them were full.
I was say
No, because drive-throughs are like and carry-out's the only thing like you're allowed to do now. Like all the drive-throughs are constantly packed. People don't care about social distancing in Louisville.
No.
They're all still out being.
Well, you think about it, it's like we're still considering those essential. The thing that makes us fatter, it's going to be essential because it's the only way people can eat anymore. I'm not gonna make food at home.
They can't cook. They can't cook. They got to be able to go to McDonald's or Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Well, I still am hoping and praying for the day that all this will go away. We'll all be safer. We'll flatten the curve, as they say, and we'll actually be able to come outside and not just have to breathe that COVID air, but we'll actually be able to go wherever we want to go again.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward
Best
to.
sun will come
Did you all
out
see the
tomorrow?
Did you all see the picture of the whale jumping out of the Ohio River?
No.
Somebody posted this picture of the Ohio River, like in the Louisville
I want to
skyline,
see it.
and it's got a humpback whale like jumping out of the water, and it says like because of COVID, the river is so less polluted that the whales have returned. And I'm like,
awesome.
the whales have returned to the
Yes.
Ohio River. And it's got this
That's great.
epic picture of a whale jumping out of the water in front of
I
the bridge
think it would
and
really
everything.
take years for the Ohio River to become clean again.
No,
No.
never.
No, never.
No.
They're toxic.
Never.
For
Human
they've-
life would cease to exist, and the Ohio River would
They've
still
done
be
studies
toxic.
that Venice and freaking New York
Yeah.
have dropped like pollution by a
Oh,
crap
yeah.
ton, but not the
They have
Ohio
the-
River.
Not the Ohio
Not the
River.
Ohio River.
That's
have,
where it
uh,
all went.
they actually
It all
have,
went to the Ohio River.
where you could see like buildings, like they said, like for like global like GPS and stuff, like in China, you could actually see buildings and stuff again, whereas before you could only see
Because of
smog.
the smog, yeah.
Yeah,
Just people not driving.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, here's
crazy.
the sad thing is though, as it seems a little sparse out there, and I am missing, seeing people out on the road and whatnot. It's
Yeah.
a little different. Just seeing places cut
Yeah.
down. And honestly, that's the one thing that I hate about this is just all the small businesses that are hurting. I'm doing my best to try to support local businesses. If I do eat out, I'm trying not to go to Taco Bell. I'm trying to go somewhere where I know they're local and they're struggling.
Well, that's cool.
And I know one of my good buddies, Logan, has also been posting almost daily about him and his wife and their kid. He's working from home. She's working from home. And so they're trying to order and get food delivered to them every single
Yeah.
day, almost for the same purpose, just to support local business. So I think in that sense, one thing that COVID's done and all of our indulgences is it's impacted the local community and allowed us to depend on our common, next door neighbor.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
all right, guys, I think that's going to do it for this episode.
Huh.
But there's one more thing, Sean.
What is it?
Do you know
Oh,
what
no.
that is?
Nope.
You have no clue?
No.
It's at the bottom of your
I-
screen.
This?
I have no.
Oh, my
screen?
gosh, that's it.
Is it our email address?
That's it right there.
RMPodcast at redmoonproductions.com.
You went off a little bit at the end there.
Whoa.
You-
Where do I start?
I don't.
It's-
I don't have a screen.
yeah, Keith, he's well, I've got the wide shot.
The wide.
I can see.
I
I can
can-
see
I can-
Sean.
I can go to the wide shot if you want me to, Keith, and that'll be your shot.
the wide
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
Our studio cam.
I did get to see Sean like.
What is
Don't
Point
ever
at-
look at the camera.
You need to do
Dolphin
like
air.
instead of Ace Ventura going down into like the dolphin, you need to get up and like go up and look in the camera
I'm not
lens.
tall enough. That thing's way taller than me. I just know it's one more camera pointed at you. That's what.
Oh, okay. I see where it's going.
That's true because all you're really going to see from me and Sean are the
back of our heads.
Not true.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. But the problem is the door's on the other side. I
I
can't.
know you can't.
I
You
was
don't
gonna
really have an
say,
option.
I don't have an option
Yeah, you
'cause
can.
how can I set that up with the door being over there?
Keith says you can.
You move
I mean,
it out
I
of the way
can,
and then move it back when the door's closed.
No, that's too
That's
much
true.
trouble.
That's too much.
We just
trouble.
need 2 more cameras somewhere.
Yeah, we need to
That's
get
right.
more GoPros in here.
We
That's
need
what
a. We need. Where else will we put one?
I don't know.
We need a sound booth cam.
Oh
You
yeah.
need one in there.
You can look because nobody even knows that we have a sound booth
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah.
It's like right across the
Yeah.
way here.
We could get one pointing like out
through
the
the
glass.
glass.
and
We
get
could have just somebody like
that
one audience
perspective in
member
there.
sitting in there. It's like our gimp.
just bring out the gimp.
just sitting in there
Yeah.
ready to be unleashed.
Quarantined.
That's where we're gonna make. That's where we're gonna make all our guests sit from now on. Is in that booth.
Is in that booth.
Yeah,
It
looking out at us.
It's gonna get really hot in
It'll
there.
just be like that.
Yeah.
All right,
All
guys. I think that is going to do it for this episode. As always, thank you all for watching. And, email us right there at the bottom of your screen, rmpodcast at redmoonproductions.com. Join us every week here, Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Visit our website. Always, you can go there and check us out.
All the social media.
All the social medias.
Keith, you gonna be back next week?
Yeah, you going to be here?
I mean, as long as I ain't been killed by the COVID, I'll be back.
You ain't yeah. And as long,
Quarantine.
I mean, if you have the COVID, it's 27 days. We're screwed.
Well-
We're all going to get it.
I'm gonna give it to you guys. Hey, I
We're
already
all gonna
feel
get
a
it
lot
before
better.
it's
I
over
just
with
gotta have
anyway.
to not need to run to the bathroom constantly.
Yeah.
That's true. That's fine. You can do that. You can do that during the show.
Yeah.
I would have come tonight, but you don't have your bidet hooked up anymore, so I was just like, screw it.
I don't.
Yeah. He's got toilet paper in there.
Yeah, I got plenty of that. But I still got the bidet. You just have to get in the shower and use it.
Nice. Just open up the drain and
Yeah, just let it all wash down there.
yes.
Now, that one's one where you better wash it out or I will kill you.
Oh man, I'm leaving it.
That's a threat. All right, Keith. Well, in order to send everybody off properly, I'm going to have to let you go early.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
That is A-okay.
So Keith,
I will.
we hope to
face that
see you.
burden.
Yeah, we hope to see you back here in the studio next week.
I will be. I'll see you all.
All righty,
Okay.
guys. Thanks for joining us, Keith. We'll see you next week back and live in the studio. Okay.
Bye.
Bye. That's Mr. Cheatham with us. Alrighty, guys. I think that is going to do it for us here on the Red Moon Podcast. As always, I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
So until next time, we
We'll
will
see
see
you
you
at the
the
movies.
when they open
we're
up.
not.
COVID.
See you on Netflix.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.